What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sports Reality. My name is Jeremy John, here to bring to you all things sports. And let's welcome a man, Jacob, in the building. Jacob, man, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm chilling, man.
How was the weekend?
Yeah, it was good. Went to a couple museums because we live in D.C. And
Yes.
why not do that with our spare time?
Exactly. Free museums. You know, who would have thought? I mean, I've been to other cities where, for example, I went to New York.
Yep. I know. Yep.
And I went to the zoo, Bronx Zoo. Mm-hmm. Coming from this area, you know, you think you just go to the zoo, you park your car, and you walk in. Of course, you're not surprised that you got to pay for parking because you got to pay for parking here,
right,
in the parking lot.
Right.
But when we get to the gate, we didn't realize we had to pay to get in.
Right.
And then there were parts of the actual exhibit that you had of the zoo. Right. If you want to get into a certain exhibit,
not to mention the lines to get in.
Yeah, you had to pay to get in certain exhibits. And it's like, man, this is a racket. And I just realized. And then I went to some another museum in New York, and it was like, yeah, you got to pay to get in. And I was like, what? Like, from D.C., man, we don't pay for it. The only museums you have to pay for are museums that are outside of the Smithsonian. So, like the Spy Museum, the Newseum, and that's about it.
Expensive too.
Yeah, that's about it. Newseum, by the way, I don't know if they still do it, but I know up until like last summer, if you brought like a child, you got in for free.
Really?
Yeah, something like that.
Huh.
Yeah, so like you pay the kids price, but you got in for free.
So my girlfriend has a military ID, so sometimes we get free stuff, sometimes we don't.
That's what's up. Which branch of the military?
She's in the Army.
Army. Cool. My cousin, I mean, I know people in all branches, but specifically one of my close cousins in the Air Force. That's what's up. This weekend is not good for many people. There was a big hurricane and now tropical storm that's in Texas, southern Texas, that has hit like places like Galveston, Corpus Christi, Houston, and other places in Texas. So let's remember those individuals who are down there struggling. And also, if you can somehow lend service either by volunteering, because we do have viewers, I know, in Texas. You know, I see the stats. There's people who watch this very show that live in Texas and in Louisiana nearby. If you're actually able to volunteer, please do that. If you can lend a hand by lending monetary funds, do that. Go through the Red Cross and other reputable organizations and help with that. So yeah, let's remember them as they are going through. It's still going through. I think it's still raining in some places right now. So it's a highest rainfall or largest rainfall in Texas history. So this is really devastating for them. So keep them in your prayers. All right, let's get right into sports. Today in sports history, today is August the 28th, 2017, and Jacob, there wasn't a lot of things that happened on this day in history, so we're gonna go through all three of them.
Nice.
In 1922, the Walker Cup was held for the first time at Southampton, New York. It is the oldest international team golf match in America.
Excellent.
Things to learn. Never heard of the Walker Cup. I know of the Davis Cup. I knew that one. 1941, the Football Writers Association of America was organized. And in 1972, Mark Spitz captured the first of his 7 gold medals at the Summer Olympics in Munich, Germany. He set a world record when he completed the 200-meter butterfly in 2 minutes and 7/10 of a second. Mark Spitz is who Michael Phelps was chasing in total swimming medals and then swimming medals in a single Olympic game. I think it was the London Games. He got 8.
Nice.
That's when he broke the record. Talking about Michael Phelps, man, like that dude is impressive. That dude is impressive. Of course, from Maryland, specifically Baltimore. So we'll claim Baltimore for a little bit because, you know, us down here in D.C. and we don't really claim Baltimore too much. But, hey, when good things happen, we'll hop on. I'll tell you that straight up. But, yeah, Michael Phelps, really good swimmer. Mark Spitz, probably the best swimmer up until Michael Phelps. What was your first memory of Michael Phelps, Jacob?
Oh man, what year was the Athens Olympics?
2004.
Yeah, 2004. I thought so.
Yeah.
That was. I mean, I was young too.
Yeah.
And,
I was. Yeah.
For some reason, like we rented some like summer house or something. And we were like hanging out, and that's all we did. We only had like 4 channels, and we were just chilling in that little cottage thing, and we just watched him win one after the other.
Yeah, I want to say he competed in the Sydney Games in 2000, but he was really young.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he ended up getting a medal. I think it was like a silver or bronze. But Athens 4 years later in 2004 was the one. That was where the aquatic center was actually outdoors.
Oh.
Yeah, it went back to, because, I mean, Greece has very good weather during that time. They were able to do it outdoors. Of course, that's how it initially was. A lot of these events initially were outdoors.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the cool things about the Athens games. Yeah, Athens, he definitely turned it on, and then 2008, that Beijing game, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? Like, and if you weren't, I mean, that's when like the casual person that knows nothing about swimming realized who he was, and then you realize, man, he already had like quite a bit of medals already. But yeah,
the only drugs he takes is marijuana.
Yes. That is definitely the drug of choice. He definitely got caught up a couple times. Had his picture taken at a college campus, smoking from a bong, and he did have some legal issues because he had a couple DUIs, but he definitely persevered, and that's one thing. I mean,
better than steroids.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing when it comes to me and sports. I think if you do commit a crime or a violation, serve your time and keep it moving. Once you serve your time, serve your suspension. I don't have a problem with someone getting back in because I don't look at my athletes to be like, I don't look at athletes to be role models. I don't look at them to be morally right.
That's interesting because I was actually thinking about why they are such role models.
Yeah, and I think they're role models because we, of course, they're in the limelight, and they're doing something that even casual sports fans are like, oh, all right, that I want to persevere like this person. For example, Michael Jordan is one of the biggest, stars. A lot of not just basketball players, but athletes. They were like, oh, I want to aspire to have a career like Michael Jordan. And that's fine if you want to have a career like Michael Jordan. And when I'm playing sports, I'll be like, man, if I could be like that, yeah, great. But I don't look to be like Michael Jordan in all aspects.
Right. So the thing I was wondering the other day is, there are so many interviews with all these athletes of all different kinds, and it's on the news, like the real news. And my question is, as someone who doesn't watch that much sports, and I don't really understand the culture behind it, I guess, why do people care?
Well, I know sports for many is just like leisure time.
Right.
So similar to how you would watch a television show, you would watch sports or read for fun, do your arts and crafts.
Yeah, but when like athletes talk about politics, I don't get it.
Well, I think now because of the amount of coverage they get and the amount of money.
Yeah,
that's when it really that's when athletes feel like they should do it.
Right.
And
makes sense. I mean, if anybody can speak out, like if you have a platform, why not?
Yeah, and it started way back. Like you could even go back to the Muhammad Ali days. When he was Cassius Clay and then converted to Islam. And became Muhammad Ali. He was the heavyweight champion of the world. And he was like, you know what? This Vietnam War is not something that I support. And specifically in a time where you were actually able to get drafted, like that was,
That's a
It's not just like, I don't like it and I get to go home and chill in my home and chill with my money. This was, I might be one of these guys who are going there and fighting. And then specifically for Muhammad Ali, race plays a role into it, because during that time, African Americans were not given like all privileges. And then you're saying, but you want me to go fight on the other side of the world to fight an enemy that's really not my enemy. So that I know things like that. And now to the modern age, Colin Kaepernick.
Yep.
Definitely saying what he said, or doing what he's doing.
Yeah, it's a great parallel.
Yeah, where he is, he's saying, there's a lot of police brutality going on, and he did say, specifically to black people. He is a black man, so he was bringing that up. But as we've seen in the last few years, more and more, it's just on a whole, like, everyone, there's a problem with police brutality. Now, of course, the numbers are disproportionately high for African Americans. So when he brought that up, that was his stance. I forgot what I was saying, but back to the activism part. He felt like, I am an NFL player, and not only am I an NFL player, like, these things are happening to people that I know. We see it all the time. You also got to remember last year, I think it was either Oakland or San Francisco was having a big issue, a big internal investigation for numerous offenses that had happened. So a guy who is playing in a city where all these things are happening, and then you think about, and I know they only sing the first verse of the national anthem, but when you think about what the second and third say, it actually goes in, it talks about, if the slaves were to revolt, what we would do to them and things like that. And it's like, this is not, a very good national anthem. And it wasn't that he was protesting the national anthem. He was saying, this is an issue in America, and I'm going to do this during the national anthem so you can understand what I'm saying, because it's real easy to just say, minorities are not treated well. It's one thing when you just say it. It's another when you say, hey, this country doesn't treat us well. So during this time that we honor the country, I'm just going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to sit out this one. And then eventually he went to kneeling, and then he ended up playing, and now he's not in the league. And we're actually going to get into Colin Kaepernick a little more later. But, yeah, that was a great question. I mean, because sports is so marketable and there's a lot of coverage, then, yeah, you're going to see more and more athletes, they're going to say something. And this is the one thing, like, if someone is on your side, of course you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm with them.
Right.
And I'm going to give someone on the opposite end of the spectrum. Do you remember the name John Rocker? He was a baseball player, pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, and then a couple other teams. But when he played with the Atlanta Braves, I want to say it was 99 or 2000, he did I think it was Sports Illustrated article, and he was talking about New York. I think the question was like, where, which one of the toughest places to play, and he said New York, so tough. He spoke about, the teams and the atmosphere at the stadium, and then he went into, and even the people of the city. You could walk around all of New York, and you can hear every language except English. And if they're gonna come here, you need to learn the language. And then he said, he doesn't like, minorities. And actually, I could probably kind of look up the quote real quick. It was pretty crazy. And so he's an athlete who's saying how he feels, and of course everyone's just like, whoa, bro, like you just can't be going around saying things about minor or anyone really like that. It's not just minority races. I'm races. I'm gonna look up the quote real quick, but yeah, John Rocker is definitely one of those athletes where you're gonna say, hey, you know what, your stance on civil issues is not cool. And that's similar to us. There's a side when it comes to Colin Kaepernick. They're like, look, that's not cool what you're doing. So yeah, I'm actually on his Wikipedia page. Okay, so it says, for a story published in December 27, 1999, issue of Sports Illustrated, Rocker made a number of allegations stemming from his experience in New York City and answering a question about whether he would ever play for the New York Yankees or Mets. His quote was, "I'd retire first. It's the most hectic, nerve-wracking city. Imagine having to take the 7 train to the ballpark looking like you're riding through Beirut, next to some kid with purple hair, next to some queer with AIDS, right next to some dude who just got out of jail for the 4th time, right next to some 20-year-old mom with 4 kids. It's depressing. The biggest thing I don't like about New York is the foreigners. You could walk an entire block in Times Square and not hear anybody speaking English. Asians and Koreans and Vietnamese and Indians and Russians, Spanish people and everything up there. How the hell did they get in this country?"
I think that's significantly worse than what you said.
Exactly.
Wow.
Like, I forgot that was all of what he said.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you... that's the other side of the spectrum.
Right.
Yeah, and you have the platform. And that's the gift and the curse of being in America. Right. You have the platform to do these things. We saw several weeks ago the Charlottesville protest or the Charlottesville rally with white supremacists, and they have a right to do that. Of course, it's kind of ugly, but they have a right to do it. And so yeah, so that's where, you know, that's where it becomes, that's where I'm gonna go back to my initial statement. I do not look at my athletes as my moral compass. Yeah. You know, they're there for entertainment.
Right.
We're gonna get into Ezekiel Elliott later in the show, who is actually a player on my favorite football team, the Dallas Cowboys, and he's also on my fantasy football team. And I will get into that later, but you know what?
Just don't like him.
Yeah, I would say I don't like him. Yeah, from what's happening, I don't think I would want to chill with Ezekiel Elliott outside of a football team, you know, because he's getting in trouble all the time, and he has a very serious allegation, you know, domestic violence, especially in a time where it's open now. Like, we know, like, there was a time when domestic violence was just normal in a marriage. Like, let's be brutally honest. It was normal. And now we're trying to be better as a society, and you know of everything that has happened. Ray Rice happened 4 years ago, and you get caught up in it. So yeah, you know, to me, he's probably not a great upstanding person. Of course, his friends and his family may know the real side or the most of the time side, but you know, I don't really care for him. But good athlete, and for my team that I root for my entertainment purposes, yeah, I don't mind him. So sit out his suspension. When you come back, I will be rooting for you. So we're gonna get more into Ezekiel Elliott later, but yeah, I don't look at my athletes to be moral compass. I would say I would put a little more into like politicians, because you are laying out laws that can really change the course.
Right. Well, that's their job. You know, they were hired / elected for their moral compass, for the things they have to say. Yeah.
And even then, I'm still kind of like, you know what? These people aren't perfect. You know, when it comes to
the understatement of the decade.
yeah. And when it comes to spirituality also, people, you know, people of the clergy. Yeah. I mean, I expect you to be morally correct, but at the same time, we're all human. So I know I cannot follow a person. I can't put my faith in a person. I do it. I'm a Christian man, Seventh-day Adventist. And yes, when I go to church, there is a pastor there, but at the same time, I'm not worshiping the pastor.
Right.
So I think that's where we got to find that balance. The pastor's there to, you know, teach us, give us insight. You know, also kind of like a moderator. You could almost say, because you know, church or synagogue or you know, a place of worship. You're there. There's a leader that just is helping you to be a better person, but not the one that makes you a better person. Right. So that's how I feel about everything. And now I may be in the minority. I'm willing to admit that. I may be in the minority where I am not looking at people per se to drive me in a certain direction. Maybe there's parts of each person that you take. We mentioned Michael Jordan. Maybe you need to take his work ethic. He didn't make varsity when he was a sophomore. He said, "Oh, I'm gonna get better." Made it as a junior, and he always used not making it as a sophomore as the driving reason why he is as good as he is. Mm-hmm. And he said he always had to find something to drive him. Even when after winning one championship, he's like, "Oh, people are still talking about me. I got to win a second. I got to win a third." Then he retired. Then people said, "Oh, if you come back, I mean, you're probably not going to do anything." He said, "Oh, for real?" He comes back. He has the best team ever. Yep. Wins again. He retires. He comes back to DC when he's 40 years old, still averaging 20-something points. So when it comes to work ethic, yeah. When it comes to my marital situation, nah, man, because this man was out here not being a good husband. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's just how I see it when it comes to entertainment. Jacob, that was a very extended conversation, which was great.
Yeah, I liked it. Thank you for the answers.
Yeah, I mean, I actually that's one thing I do like about the show. I mean, we talk about sports, but also the things that surround sports, not just
the bigger picture.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's get into NBA news. I know you've probably heard about this. Kyrie Irving traded to the Boston Celtics for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and a first-round draft pick, which is the first-round draft pick that the Boston Celtics had acquired from the Brooklyn Nets. So next year, of course, the Nets are not looking too good. If they they will end up in the lottery, but if they end up getting a very high pick, of course, the Celtics had that pick, but the Celtics now decided to trade that pick, so it will go to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, there's a big hiccup. Isaiah Thomas had his physical late last week, and he still has not healed from his hip injury. So the Cleveland Cavaliers kind of want a counteroffer. They want to add someone else to the deal to make it even, and it seems like the Boston Celtics are not willing to budge with the request of the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers would like either the first. It looks like they want the first round draft pick that they just selected in June, Jason Tatum out of Duke. Boston doesn't seem to want to get rid of or part ways with Jason Tatum. So it's going to be quite interesting. We have up until I think Wednesday or Thursday to see if that trade will become finalized. There are rumors out there that Isaiah Thomas is electing not to have surgery on his damaged hip, that there's a possibility that he may never play an NBA game again. They're saying this injury is so bad that if he were not to do surgery, the only other option is just to not play basketball anymore because it's that bad. So that one is going to be very interesting to see what is going to happen with that. For the sake of both teams, this trade still needs to go through. Let's go to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kyrie Irving in July comes out, or reports come out that Kyrie Irving, even during the season, was not happy with playing with LeBron James and wanted out. Word gets out, So now it's hard for the Cavaliers to make a deal because now every other team in the NBA knows that Kyrie wants to leave. So now every other team is not going to give really a fair value for Kyrie. So it was becoming real hard. And now reports were coming out that LeBron James, quote, would fight Kyrie Irving if he sees him. and how Kyrie really doesn't want to be around LeBron James and all of that going on. And a few weeks ago, I said, you cannot start the season with Kyrie Irving on the Cavaliers. You can't do it. With all this swirl around, you cannot show up to training camp and have your media day and have your practice and things just be honky-dory. Also, you can't have this because things are definitely going to, the play will be affected on the court. Kyrie's probably going to then want to showcase how great he is. Going to probably want to ball hog. LeBron James is probably going to, hold him out, ice him out, and make sure Kyrie doesn't do what he does, and all of that. And it's just going to cause L's at the end of the day for the Cavaliers. And everyone's chasing the Warriors. So if you're having this issue in your locker room, you got to get rid of it. And to be honest, I'm going to ask you this, Jacob. If you had to choose between Kyrie Irving and LeBron James, who are you choosing?
The latter.
Exactly. Even though LeBron James only has one more year on his deal, and even though it's already rumored that he's going to L.A., you'll still choose LeBron James. Like, LeBron James has doubled the value of the Cavaliers. Went from a $500 million team by value to a $1 billion team just from his return to Cleveland. Kyrie Irving didn't sniff the playoffs while he was there by himself. LeBron James comes there. You're in the NBA Finals every year, and you win one. So, of course, this trade happens, and Cleveland fans, I mean, it was kind of like, I did see the deal as being even. Kyrie Irving is, you could say, we did our rankings about a month and a half ago, and we had Kyrie Irving in the top 20 NBA player. I think I had him specifically top 15, but yeah, he's there. And I also had Isaiah Thomas outside of the top 30. So you're getting Isaiah Thomas, but you're also getting a hard-nosed Jay Crowder, who's one of the best defenders in the game, who has a very favorable 3-year contract. I think it's like 3 years where he's only getting like $7 million each year compared to what these NBA players are getting paid right now. So very favorable. And then you get the draft pick, which initially was owned by the Brooklyn Nets, and the Brooklyn Nets are not a good team, so they're going to be in the lottery. So you have all of that going on. I thought the trade was even. However, Isaiah Thomas doesn't look like he's going to be healthy. I think the Cavaliers still need to go with the trade, because even if Isaiah Thomas is not healthy until Christmas or even January, I think it's still worth it. I think it's still worth it that he might not be ready until December or January, and I think the trade will still be worth it. Now, if the rumor is that he may never play a meaningful basketball game if he doesn't get surgery, then he probably needs to do the surgery now, and that's when it gets real dicey, because he may not play at all next season. Like, he may be out 8 to 12 months. So that's where it gets real tricky. The doctors really need to figure out what's going on and see what happens. But basically, I think Kyrie Irving cannot play for the Cavaliers after everything that's going on. So this seems like the best trade possible for the Cavaliers, and I think they just need to bite the bullet and definitely make this trade happen. Real quick, just want to get to a real quick shout out. Shout out my boy Harold Laws of BLK Sports 980, who had a chance to interview John Wall at John Wall's foundation event where it was a backpack back to school giveaway. So I just want to give a plug, a shout out to my man Harold Laws of BLK Sports 980 for being able to get that interview and be able to make some connects, man. It's a good thing to see when your boys are also striving in what they're pursuing. So I just want to give a quick shout out since we were talking about the NBA. John Wall had a recent back to school giveaway where he gave away backpacks, school supplies to children within the DC area. Also, I want to give another plug this weekend. I didn't mention this. How did I forget this, Jacob? How did I forget this when we talked about the weekend? This weekend, on Saturday, I went to the Negro League Hall of Fame baseball game, which was at the Prince George's County Stadium in Bowie, at the Bowie Bay Sox Stadium. It was an all-star game commemorating the Negro League Hall of Famers. And it was run by Mr. Dwayne Sims. There was also a back-to-school giveaway there. You want to know how many book bags they gave to children this weekend? In one day, 11,000 book bags at this event. When I went up there, I mean, I'm trying to get into the parking lot. There was a line to get in from the main road to get in there. There were people walking in the middle of the street because there was so many people. 11,000 book bags given away at this event. There also was a Corvette car show, so there was just a whole bunch of Corvettes there. People were able to take pictures in there, check them out. And then, of course, the Hall of Fame game, which they got guys who have relatives that played in the Negro League, and even there were 2 actual former players that were there at the game. So that was a cool experience. They also wore similar Negro League jerseys, East and West. It was a real cool event. The Rashawn Baker, county executive, was there. The new president for Bowie State University was there. And then I was there to support, but also my cousin Milan Harris, who attends the wonderful Duke Ellington School of Performing Arts, sang the national anthem. So we were there. So it was a great event. So yeah, I just want to give a little plug. And actually, we are in the workings of trying to get someone to come on this show. One of the Negro League players that are still alive. They threw out I think it was a man, and I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. The last name is Sanders, but he was one of the living players of the Negro Baseball League, and he threw out the first pitch, and it looks like he still could throw a baseball. This guy is like 80 years old. He looks like he can still throw a baseball, so it was a real cool event. Let's go on to the other big event on Saturday. Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather. Did you get to see it, Jacob?
But I definitely heard about it.
Let's just say, in the grand scheme of things, you didn't really miss anything.
Right. The fight itself wasn't that great?
In the grand scheme of it, no.
Okay.
No. Wasn't that good. To the point that I tweeted Verizon Fios and said, please don't charge my bill for this fight. And they actually responded. They said, how about you follow the page and send me a DM, and we will talk about this. So I'm going to shoot my shot later and see what they can do. I'm going to take some screenshots and see what they do.
Cool. In the end, they'll probably be just like, good try, though.
Yeah. Floyd Mayweather wins 10-round TKO over Conor McGregor. They had the big lead up, and I purposely was not talking about this fight because I said, you know what, it's a sham. You know, it's a money grab. It's a publicity stunt. So we'll talk about it when it initially goes down, when they come up with the agreement. But it's probably been like 2 months where I did not speak about it. And of course, I wasn't here last week, but because I knew what it was going to be. You know, this is a boxer, Floyd Mayweather, who was at the time 49-0, undefeated, no ties, no draws, 49 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws. Going to fight against, in a boxing match, a MMA fighter who last boxed years ago on an amateur circuit. And you want me to believe this fight is actually going to be good. In my opinion, it was a big money grab. Conor McGregor, who his largest payday in the UFC was only like $2 million. And even in a losing effort, he was guaranteed to walk away with $100 million against Floyd Mayweather. And in the very beginning of the fight, Conor McGregor actually was throwing punches. And it was the big novelty. Oh, my gosh, he's throwing punches. I'm on social media, and people are talking about, yeah, Conor McGregor's winning. He's winning. And I'm sitting there like, he's not landing any of these punches. He's just throwing. Yeah, it looks fun. He's throwing them, but he's not landing any of them. And the thing about Floyd Mayweather that people don't realize, when he hits someone, it's so quick that sometimes you yourself don't even see it. You got to wait till the round is finished when they show the highlight. You're like, whoa, I didn't know he hit him 3 times. Like, so quick. People actually were giving Conor credit that he landed more punches in 10 rounds than Manny Pacquiao did in 12 against Floyd Mayweather. However, I'm kind of like, but his punches did nothing. Like, there were times, you could tell he's not a boxer. There are times where he was literally hitting Mayweather like this. Like, he's just like, Then he was reverting to his MMA skills, because he would grab Mayweather and turn him around and then try to hit him. Like, that's a mixed martial art move. You're going to try and get around them and do what you got to do. Wasn't even close. Gets to the 9th round, and that's when you see Mayweather's really just turns on the jets. He starts just hitting him with a flurry of punches. Referee has to step in, and it's over. Conor McGregor's upset, but he couldn't even defend himself. His hands were down. He was just taking hits. Couldn't defend himself. Come to find out, Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s team tried to place a bet before the fight that the fight would only last 9.5 rounds. And it ended in the 10th round, which is 9.5, because it didn't go 10. It went partially into 10. So I believe, and I mean, not I believe, it's just fortified that he's like, look, you know what? Let's just put on a little show. I'm going to win a bet. Not only am I going to win, I'm going to win in the 10th round. And the casino that he tried to go to, they actually did not take it. But also, Conor McGregor, being an MMA fighter, their fights are 5-minute rounds, maximum 5 rounds, so 25 minutes. What is how many minutes is 9 times 3? 27. So he said, you know what? I'm going to stretch it a little further than 25 and get you real tired now, because McGregor is not trained for 36 minutes. So he got him to right to 27, 28 minutes. And that's when McGregor really was getting tired. His legs were wobbling. And that's when you really saw that someone who is not a boxer should not be fighting a boxer under boxing rules. So it was a big sham. But yeah, I watched it, of course. You know, it's a spectacle, you know, covering sports. You gotta watch these things. So, I mean, it is what it is. Am I surprised that I was cheated? No. The undercards were okay. I definitely watched the undercards, though, because I was not one of those people who tried to order the fight at 11 or 11:15 and had problems with their cable provider, because that definitely happened. And that was another thing. They had to stall the beginning of the Mayweather fight because of this. Do you think that, you know, if you're really about fighting, that you're going to be like, hey, I don't care about those people who couldn't get on? Nah, you wanted more money, so you stalled. Not only did you stall, man, I can't remember the guy's name. The fight before. Let me look it up right now. The fight before Mayweather, the main event, one of the undercards. It's a young man that's from Baltimore, who I'm looking up his name right now. Man, I don't see his name, but he's from Baltimore. He's part of the money team and trains in Mayweather's Mayweather's gym. My cousin who works in Baltimore said, look, I've been following this dude. He should knock out this guy pretty quickly. And it started getting to about like started getting to the 8th round, and my cousin's like, Gervonta Davis, he defeated Francisco Fonseca by knockout in round number 8. And my cousin was telling me, he said, this guy should have knocked him out since the 3rd round. He said he is stalling for something. He's stalling for something. As soon as he got to the 8th round, he knocks him out. What happened around the 8th round during that fight? That's when the cable providers were like, okay, everyone's back up. Everyone who lost signal and everyone who couldn't see the fight, it came back on. And when all of that happened, all of a sudden, this guy knocks him out in the 8th round. It's all a conspiracy, man. We got screwed. But hey, you had to watch because anything was possible for this thing.
All that smack talk. I watched some of that smack talk, and it was just...
It was ugly, man. Yeah. It was ugly. It was misogynistic. It was racist, bigoted. It was homophobic. You know, it was a lot.
That's not subtle.
It was a lot that happened. So I can understand why people were turned off. Like, come on, man. I ain't trying to see all this. But that is boxing, unfortunately. That is combat fighting. You're going to talk trash. And sometimes the trash talking is going to step over many boundaries. So, man, it's
hey, because of that, even I heard of that fight, though. You know?
Yeah.
Even I was like, oh, that's happening tonight, right? Okay. I'm not going to watch it, but I know about it.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some Major League Baseball news. Giancarlo Stanton of the Miami Marlins hit his 50th home run yesterday. He is the first Major League Baseball player to hit 50 home runs in a season. And by the way, we're only in August. It's only August 28th. He has all of September. He made a interesting comment. Jacob, you played baseball, right?
I did, actually, yes.
Who has the most home runs in a Major League Baseball season, right?
Oh, God. You're going to pull that on me, though.
Yeah. Barry Bonds with 73.
Couldn't think of the name.
Mark McGwire, 70. Sammy Sosa, I think it's 67, 66. What is something what's the common denominator with all three of those guys?
Roids.
Yes. All accused of steroid use. McGwire admitted. Sammy Sosa admitted. Bonds admitted too. So all three of them admitted to it. Mm-hmm. Bonds, there just wasn't any proof that he did, but he admitted to it. Mm-hmm. So when you get those three guys in the home run rankings or home run records for a season, you know, you say performance enhancement drugs. Boom. Next person is Roger Maris. Played for the Yankees. 61 home runs. And then there's Babe Ruth, 60 in a season. Giancarlo Stanton made an interesting comment. He said he's striving for 62. So basically a shot at those other three guys. Like, you know what? You all did it the wrong way. So, or you all did it with, with some help. I'm doing it the right way. I'm going for 62. And he's saying he's going to be the real home run king for a season. So it is quite interesting. And it's also pretty, cool because Giancarlo Stanton is kind of young. When I say young, I think he's like 27, 28. So he knows the game of baseball. Because now if you ask younger baseball players who are not like baseball junkies, they're not going to know who Roger Maris is. They know who Babe Ruth is, but they're not going to know who Roger Maris is. So yeah, it's quite interesting that he, being a young player, was able to acknowledge, hey man, I'm striving for 62. That's what he's striving to, and he has another month. And the rate that he's going to definitely pass 62 home runs. Also, some other baseball news. There was a big brawl in Detroit between the Detroit Tigers and the New York Yankees. I know Boom. I don't know if he's listening, but his Bronx Bombers were out there throwing haymakers with Miguel Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera suspended for some games. Gary Sanchez suspended for some games. Both coaches or managers were suspended a game. They had 3 bench clearing incidents during that game. You had the brawl. You had someone get hit with a baseball a couple times. So, yeah. So, I have a question for you, Jacob.
All right.
Why is fighting in baseball and hockey cool and not in other sports?
It's cool in baseball. It's cool in hockey because it's kind of just part of the thing.
Mm-hmm. Baseball, I understand there's 162 games, but the player that got the most games suspended, I think it was like 5.
Why is it cool?
Why is it, I guess, tolerated?
Tolerated.
I have no idea.
You don't wear any padding? It's not a physical sport?
Because in basketball, there's 82 games, and if someone were to throw a punch, they may get 5 games. If they were to land an actual fist punch, you are getting 10 games in the NBA. We get guys who get suspended for pushing guys in the NBA. And I've heard the bogus excuse of, well, the fans are right there on the court, so you don't want anything to spill over. And then, of course, the Malice in the Palace came up, and everyone said, you see, this is why you don't do it. And I'm like, you know what? That is one of the exceptions, the Malice in the Palace. And I fully blame security for that also. I don't really blame the players. When fans are getting on the floor to fight you, I mean, what you expect? You think I'm about to just put my hand down and let you fight me? I'm going to throw some haymakers too. So, yeah. So I just find it really interesting that the image of fighting in the NBA is, the image is not good. Baseball, okay. In the NFL, you are hitting each other all day. And in the NHL, it's get your 5-minute penalty, and then come back in, So it's just quite interesting how that definitely goes down. Also, there's this guy. Real quick. I'm gonna continue with baseball real quick. I got the update yesterday. It's still on my notification screen. There's a guy for the Philadelphia Phillies who in 18 games, when I say 18 games, 18 career games, he has already hit like 11 home runs. In 18 career Major League Baseball games, he has 11 home runs, man, and it's crazy. I can't even find out who it is. Let me look it up here. But yeah, that is. Oh, here it is. Rhys Hoskins of the Philadelphia Phillies. 18 career Major League Baseball games, and he's already hit 11 home runs. I mean, it can't get any better than this. Like, I honestly, it only goes downhill for him. It only goes down. When I say downhill, the expectation that he's going to hit so many home runs. He might continue being a very good baseball player, but he's not going to be hitting all these home runs all the time. Let's get to the NFL real quick. Odell Beckham Jr. Actually, call Boom. Call Boom, Jacob. I want to talk to Boom real quick. Talk about his New York Football Giants. Did you see the injury that Odell Beckham Jr. sustained last Monday night?
Yo, I don't give a fuck about football. Real talk.
Why?
I'm boycotting this season because of Colin Kaepernick. Because I don't believe that football is really that important when you have that much injustice going on in this country.
Oh, you're definitely right. And more
sorry to be all like militant and fuck
look,
the segment all up.
No, you didn't.
All right, real talk. Let's pretend like I'm a Giants fan because I am a Giants fan.
But I want to go back. You didn't really mess it up, and more power to you. I'll tell you that. Someone asked me the same thing. They're like, "Oh, you're not gonna stop watching football?" And I said, "No. I mean, I can do both, but that's me."
Yo, real talk. Like, I'm not advocating for anyone to do what I'm doing.
And see, that's how it should be.
Like, I'm just like, Like, this isn't like, I don't know how to say this. Like, everybody making a stand and not watching the NFL may have a little bit of a financial impact, and it may be just enough of a story to kind of sway the league, maybe a little bit. But real talk, I don't think that's what needs to happen. It's just what I'm choosing to do because when you put police unjustifiably killing black people on one hand in front of my face, and then you put the NFL and a fucking $1 million Schneider paid for Trump's inauguration, and all the teams that put up mad money, and all the teams that put up millions of dollars because they're paid by the military to show, all of that. They used to stay in the locker room.
I was about to say that.
They used to not even be on the field.
They used to not be on the field when the national anthem
So
was
that
played.
shit backfired. So the military gives them like $40 million to show their patriotism, and that shit fucking backfired because that's exactly what you do in some sort of like fascist Italy, or Russian country where you force everyone to say the Pledge of Allegiance. That shit's not cool. Okay, that being said, and I'm sorry this is a long rant on your show.
Hey.
But that being said, you can still enjoy football and not be okay with police brutality. Like, those two things can mutually coexist.
Yes.
Okay? But with that being said, I am choosing this year to sit it out until Kaepernick gets a job. That's just my choice. And I fucking still hate Odell Beckham. But what were you going to say about Odell Beckham?
He got injured on Monday.
Well, I don't wish that for him, but
he got hit with a low hit,
and then he fell down in the thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
They like found him like, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Which was okay. So he gets hit by the safety. I would say number one, the pass was very high by Eli Manning, which made him go up in the air to go get the ball. So when he comes down, the defender's already committed to hitting him, and he hits him right on the knee. It looks really bad. Like, it really looks like he tears an ACL, maybe an MCL, and he's done for the year. He throws the football at the player, in his direction. He walks off the field and then walks to the locker room by himself, which was really weird. Like, where was the medical staff? Like, why weren't you walking with him? Luckily, there was an ESPN camera that was walking with him. So when he gets into the tunnel,
it's a good question, though. It's kind of like, hey, you just watched,
you just watched that happen.
You just watched that happen, and you're like, you good? You good? Oh, okay, cool. See ya.
And he just literally walks off the field.
He walked himself to the infirmary.
Yes, he's going there, and he collapses. He's down. Comes to find out, he was in the concussion protocol. He didn't have a concussion, but on the play, yes, he hits his head pretty hard. Knee is messed up. They're saying he's day-to-day with a knee sprain. I think this is one of the biggest injuries so far in the NFL, and it's not even as big as the other ones that we're going to talk about.
I was going to say it's not even a season yet.
It's not even a season-ending injury, but this is the biggest injury because when you hear things like knee sprains...
Am I the only one that finds it weird how hard they go in preseason? Am I the only one that wants to talk about Manning throwing high passes in preseason? Like, dude, don't miss the pass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to put this. Like these games, right? There's only 16 games. And each one of those 16 games, you have like not 1 in a million. You have like 1 in 10 chance of getting fucking hurt, like bad too. Right?
1 in 10? You mean 1 in 1.1?
1 in 2. You got a 50% chance every game.
I don't even think 1 in 2. It is 1 in 1.1 or 1.00000.
Some shit's gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
Which is why I just don't understand. If you're a gladiator, let's use the toy swords in preseason. Before we go right for the sharp stuff.
You bring up a great point, and I know I don't have much time, but I'm gonna bring this up real quick. I think preseason games need to eventually just go to scrimmages
or
and
flag.
Just have.
Yo, real talk. I actually think it'd be fun if it were flag. You know how you got to grab the flags from the other guy.
It'll be fun, but I think if we get to the cause have you ever seen an actual NFL scrimmage where they're not really tackling, but they're actually playing?
Yeah. They're just kind of like running the routes and they're going through the motions, kind of.
Yeah, and then I know people are gonna say, well, what about the actual tackling aspect of the game? Well, let me give you and a lot of people are gonna say, It's Yale and Harvard, whatever. Yale in the Ivy League. I have a friend that's playing for Columbia right now.
The most losing team in the history of collegiate football. But he's smart, so it's all good.
In the Ivy Leagues, they have already started using like tackle dummies that move, not just the ones that sit there and you tackle it.
Yeah,
ones that can run, like can move, and they're starting to use them at high Division I programs. Why can't you just tackle with those? And I know it's going to take a while to get used to it. Get used to tackling that. Because eventually, you know what? Yes, I know you're going to eventually want to have to tackle a person, but let's try not to get super injured before the season starts.
I don't really know what the Giants... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Here's another stat. I think it was Yale. Statistically, they were the best tackling team of all of college football in the last 2 years since they implemented this. So they just learned how to tackle better.
So like you're actually we've done a science experiment.
Yes, there's stats that show they've actually tackled more efficiently by tackling with these dummies. So there you go.
Technology can help us get better on the field.
So instead of banging heads in practice, they were like, you know what, let's just tackle these dummies, and then we'll bang heads in the game.
Now they're wrapping up like every dude. So
I believe if a team like Alabama were to do the same thing, they can get even better.
Well, the results. I mean, you can't fudge those results.
Yes. So eventually we got to get to that, and eventually you probably need to have 4 scrimmages.
Yeah.
Not
because we've just now discovered our brains are quite mushy and sensitive. Yeah. So, yeah.
And then when you want to play your tackle football, tackle football. Because college football, let's be real, there's no preseason. They have enough players to play scrimmages among themselves, and they play. And you do not see when powerhouse teams on week 1, like Alabama and Florida State, they're playing week 1. You're not going to see terrible football week 1.
No.
Unlike the NFL where it takes
In fact, weeks. You're also not going to see people come in with injuries. Like the season start and like so-and-so's out and so-and-so's out because I went a little too hard in scrimmage.
Also, in the NFL, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks before you start really seeing some real quality football. So real quick before the show ends, want to go through some NFL news. Deshaun Kaiser, first reported by my boy Harold Laws of BLK Sports 980. He reported that Deshaun Kaiser was going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns weeks ago on his show. He said he will. He said he has inside sources, which he does. That's all I'm going to say. And he said that Deshaun Kaiser was going to be the starting quarterback, and it was reported this weekend Deshaun Kaiser is going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Also, Julian Edelman, wide receiver of the Patriots, torn ACL, out for the year. Spencer Ware, running back for the, I think, Chiefs, out for the year. Cameron Meredith, looks like a torn ACL. They're going to find out today. Wide receiver of the Chicago Bears, out, looks like, for the whole year. Also, Jarvis Landry, trade rumors, wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, trade rumors with that. Kirk Cousins ain't looking too good for the Washington football team. Jay Cutler not looking too good, and Colin Kaepernick still is not on the team. Oh, by the way, Blake Bortles, he's still the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, even though the team has pretty much said this guy is garbage. So it's quite interesting. I do think the way things are going, Kaepernick may end up on the team this year. How much time do I have, Jacob? 1 minute. But I want to get to Kaepernick real quick. He mentioned there was an anonymous report that went around, anonymous survey that went around the NFL with execs and NFL execs and GMs and front office people, where they spoke about Colin Kaepernick. And many of them said, it ain't even about football. So remember, the whole time, a lot of people were saying, oh, he's not good enough. That's why he's not on a team. Remember when they said, his stats aren't that good, and that's why teams don't want him. Or, oh, we got these quarterbacks that are better than him anyway. But when these execs come out and say, oh, it's not about football, it's about his political stance, his social stance, I just find it kind of crazy how a lot they tried to fool us. We knew what it was. They said, oh, it's the football. That's why he can't play. That's why we're not getting him. then it's, oh, well, these quarterbacks are ahead of him, and, that's why he's not. We've seen some terrible backup quarterbacks. We've seen some terrible starting quarterbacks that Colin Kaepernick can be playing ahead of, and he's still not on the team. So as a person of my stance knew, it was never about football why Colin Kaepernick's not in the league right now. But I think if you get one more quarterback that goes down, I think Kaepernick's definitely on the team. If he's not on the team this year, I know for sure next year things will get better, and he will definitely make an NFL team next year. I want to thank you, Jacob, for everything you do. I want to thank you, Boom, for coming on and giving your opinions of the NFL. I want to thank you, everyone who's watching and listening. Big news coming up. Big news coming up for the show. Until next time, everyone. Sports Reality. Peace.